Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled is Kathryn Graf, a writer and performer. But I was lucky to have a in-studio interview with Javier Bardem. And so when we finish with Kathryn, we'll go into an interview with Javier Bardem. Writer, performer, Kathryn Graf was born in North Carolina, but says even though she moved every year, Connecticut is her home. Kathy attended UC Irvine, and in the 90s was very active in the LA theater. Were you a theater major at Irvine?
I was, yes.
Oh, you were? Yeah. So you knew everything about LA.
You know, it was a choice that I was actually going to move to New York, went up to do summer stock theater. I did an internship through college in Maine, of all places, and met my husband there. And we fell in love, and he had just moved to LA from New York. So I just came right up. It was just a natural progression.
Is that right? So you finished school,
so I
had your theater degree,
and had me finish school down there. So I finished school down in Irvine, and then we came up here together.
And then, did you go on stage right away?
Pretty much, yeah. I started doing like equity waiver theaters, and I was the queen of the equity waiver for a while. That's what they used to call the 99-seat houses. And yeah, I stayed real busy with it, actually. And
is that a big theater department at Irvine?
It was a very nice size. I don't really know about its reputation anymore that way. I haven't really stayed in touch with it, but at the time it had some great performers in there, and I had a lot of chances to get on stage. So for me, it was a good experience.
And then what took you to Maine?
It was an internship I did through college.
Through the college?
Through the college, yeah. And it was a very exciting thing. I mean, I was a kid, and I got to go 3,000 miles away, which of course I knew the East Coast, but
I was going to say, there you were in Connecticut, in and out, right?
Right, I was in and out of Connecticut, and I had lived in New York and Ohio, and you know, all over the place, actually, Midwest and the East Coast.
So you can write that story next.
Yeah, that's the next
the
one.
U.S.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
So you actually got a chance to act when you were in Maine?
No, not really.
Oh, you didn't?
I was a slave in Maine, which is what interns are, and I did built sets and made costumes and did all the stuff that I worked towards my equity card. That's what I did. So
is that right?
It was really fun. It was a lot of hard work, but it was fun.
You've done a lot of TV.
Yeah.
Then did you do TV after the stage or during?
Kind of during. I mean, what happened was I wound up becoming a mother.
Is that what?
And pretty much I was doing a little bit of TV and film, and a little bit of stage. But once I had kids, stage became very difficult to do. So I just did commercials and voiceovers for the past few years, many years, about 6 years now.
You had recurring roles though in some TV shows.
I did a recurring role just recently on Passions, which is a very goofy soap opera that's pretty cool, and it's kind of got a cult following. And
how's your memory? Because when you're not on the stage all the time, you have to don't you have to get back into that?
It's interesting. I mean, I thought to myself, what am I doing? I haven't been on the stage in over 10 years, and I've written a one-person show for 75 minutes by myself about my life? What am I thinking?
I know, it's true.
I don't know, it just comes back. That's one of the gifts. I can't remember, a fact that happened yesterday or somebody's name that happened yesterday, but I can memorize scripts. I don't know, just the way it works.
That's why you're an actress.
I guess we all get our gifts,
What is the hardest or the easiest thing for you? The TV, the commercials, the voiceovers?
Well, commercials are really easy. I mean,
are they?
Yeah, I think they're really easy. I mean, there's not a lot of challenge there anymore. And after a while, you're playing the same role all the time, which is usually the mom.
That's your role,
me, And I get a little bit tired of that. So certainly, this has been the most creative thing I've ever done. The show that I've written is without doubt the most creative and all-encompassing of my talents.
So is this actually what brought you back to the stage? Because going to say, what after 10 years brought you back to the stage?
You know what? It wasn't even a question of wanting to go back to the stage. It was my husband died after 20 years together, and I was in an awful lot of pain, and just got sick of trying to explain to people or try to ask for help. And everybody was great, but you realize that you're in it alone. And I just needed to express it somehow, and you can't lean on your friends that much after a while. You can't constantly talk about the pain you're in. So I wrote it, and I just started writing and writing and writing, and then I knew I had to get up there and just get it out of my system.
But was it a book when you first started writing
it actually started off as what I decided to do was put all my emails together that I had written and make some sort of a grief book.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then as I started doing it, the need to express myself viscerally became more real.
So it needed to be something that you were going to perform rather than just read.
It became very clear once that happened.
I'm going to want to talk about it, but tell me about your husband's career, because you actually said you left Maine and came here because he had a career.
Yes,
and what was his career?
My husband was a fairly well-known actor. His name is David Graf. His biggest role was Tackleberry in all the Police Academy movies, and that's what he was known for all over the world. He's also worked constantly. He had a very nice career. He was a celebrity player on the $100,000 Pyramid Show,
which keeps rerunning.
Yes, he did Password. He was a mini celebrity in this world, and because of that, we got to travel around a lot and got to meet a lot of really interesting people.
And do his movies still?
Oh yeah, sure. They play all the time. His television plays all the time. He did guest stars on just about every show that ever was.
So obviously, you have to address part of his life in your Surviving David, which is your one-woman show.
Yes.
And this one question that I always ask is, how do you think you can get up there and stand alone for an hour and a half?
I don't know yet. It hasn't opened.
But how do you do that in rehearsals and all the things, standing up there? Do you and one person plays have to have it driven by something, music, lights, costumes.
I drive this show.
You drive it.
I do. I mean, actually, I've had 6 workshops, and the response from everybody, that's without lights, without anything, and everybody said, keep it as simple as possible, because the most interesting thing is you're on the stage alone making this work, and that's what the whole story is about. How I am on my own making something work that I don't know how it's working. I don't know how
in your whole life, in your real life.
Well, in the fact that when I survived my husband, it's really about the process of my grief. It's about a lot of things. It's a very multi-layered piece in 75 minutes, but the thrust of it is about a true story of a youngish widow. Not like the kind you see on TV and film, which is what I kept trying to be, the stoical, woman with the snoot over her eyes, with the tear coming down her cheeks, with the children at her breasts. That was nothing what I did. I went off the deep end, I inappropriate emotions, craziness, anger, fear, all that stuff, and how to connect with your kids when you don't want your kids around, and I basically just tell everything how I felt.
The reason all of this came out was because you went to a playwriting class.
That was a big reason.
How did you find that playwriting class?
I knew the man who ran it. His name is Mark Travis, and I've known him for many years.
Mark
Do you know
Travis,
Mark?
I love Mark Travis. He's the best director of one-person plays.
Well, he didn't direct my show,
but he's fabulous.
Yes,
isn't that his forte?
That's his forte. And I knew he did this stuff, and I called him and I said, I started this acting class to get some of this angst out of my body, and they had me do Neil Simon. I thought I could eat Neil Simon for breakfast. I need something else. And he said, get in here. The best stuff is inside of you. And so he was very encouraging. Very encouraging.
Great.
Yeah.
And then you found this theater, 2,100 square feet. I don't even know the theater.
The theater is a great theater
it.
space, and I hope everybody gets to know it. It's a really nice theater. It's called 2,100 square feet. And Steve Teetsort and Diana Castle are the artistic directors. And it's been around for about 3 or 4 years.
Where is it? It's on San Vicente?
San Vicente, between La Brea and Fairfax.
Oh, I see.
You can get lost in San Vicente.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
But it's actually very centrally located, really.
It's a great location. So Mark didn't direct it, but you had...
Mark helped me with, actually his partner, Fred Johns, really helped develop one piece, which I then decided to go a different way with, and I got another developer with it. And then I went through a couple of different directors until I found what I needed.
It's interesting to see how one act, like someone like you writing one thing, all these different stages you have to go through.
It's been an interesting journey.
So it takes a long time.
It's taught me an awful lot.
Did it take a long time to get it on stage?
2 years from the moment I stepped into his class till now it's going up, and I guess that's fairly unusual. I mean, I worked faster than most people, but I was kind of driven by something. So, but I think he actually said no. He said 2 years is about what it takes people to get it ready. But I worked it a lot longer. It was ready a while ago. In a
so
way.
You actually write these things, you work them out. Then what does your director have to do?
Well, he.
I mean, why do you need a director?
Oh well, because for one thing, you can't always judge how something looks from the outside. You can see what feels good for you. A good director will encourage you to work with what you feel the piece needs or the moment needs, and then he'll say, try that just a little bit, lessen up on the anger on that one and try it more ironic or something like that. And then you play around with that and you go, oh my gosh, that was good. I liked that.
It was good. Oh,
yeah.
So it worked?
So they kind of steer it so they see the whole picture and they're able to see, we need a little bit more here, we need a little less there, and you supply the emotion or whatever has to drive each particular scene.
So that means you have to be really connected to your director to be able to take
you have to trust your director
or trust,
a great deal, and that's the director I have, Tony Sears, is somebody who has really a real strong director will, in a strange way, humble himself to empower the actor. I think that's a sign of a great director, and that's what Tony has done for me. He tells me what I do that works and not, hey, look how great I am. And believe me, there are a lot of directors out there that are about, hey, look how great I am. And I really don't need that. I'm not really on an ego trip on this. This is not about promoting Kathy. This is about telling a story, and that's what I want.
And when you get on, how taxing is it for you to relive that story?
It can be very taxing, sometimes more than others. Sometimes I get upset. Oop, I just got one now. Sometimes I get upset mostly before I go on stage, strangely enough, because it becomes almost like a prayer feeling to it. Like, okay, here I'm going, this is my story, I got to tell this. And I remember David, and he's with me. But usually at the end, I feel somehow cleaner inside, just a little bit better.
But you do this each time. Does it get easier? I don't know if it gets easier.
Yeah, I mean, time has made things easier. It's been 3.5 years since he died, so that helps. And all of this working it out, I think, has been really therapeutic for somebody like me, because I just tend to keep a lot inside of me and angst, and so it's really helped me a great deal. And it was a sudden death, so I think I'm working that all out. The history of it and the moment of it and everything again. But it's not all sad, I have to say. It's not something that anybody has to be really afraid of seeing, although it can be. If you've gone through a loss just recently, I would suggest you be careful.
That's an interesting thing, because as you say, you've got to bring some humor into it,
absolutely.
Because your life was not all sad.
No, I mean, because there's also me looking at my life going, I'm a nut.
Yeah.
What am I doing? This is not right. So that's what I've done, is I've brought in the person that's going, this isn't, hello, this isn't the way grief is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to have sexual feelings when I'm grieving.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you write all these things into it.
I wrote it all in as honestly as possible.
One other aspect, and I think it's great because it turns out to be, in a way, a charitable event as well, what you're doing. You went to Our House.
Our House, yes. Our House
Tell
is
us a little bit about that.
It's just a great organization, and I really don't know what I would have done without them. As trite as that sounds, it just wasn't trite at all. I mean, I took me and both my kids, and you go into grief support groups, and I was in the youngish widows, which means you're under 50. Youngish widows and widowers. There are just a lot more women in the room, and
even at that age.
Yeah,
even under 50.
It was only 2 men. Yeah. And also men don't seek out things as much as women. I don't think.
Too.
They don't.
So this was like a group. Like a group therapy.
It was a group therapy. So we all sit around and we talk, and then the kids, my oldest son wound up going almost 3 years. He really, really benefited from it. So my little one didn't mean as much to him, but it's a great organization, and you just feel like you're not alone, and you start to have similar you start seeing similarities in the pain and in the craziness, and being honest with one another, and realizing that we're all still human beings with lives, and let's move on. Try to move on.
Did you use any of the things that you found? Did you in that?
A little bit. I have
classes?
a character in there named in my show named Debbie, who is a little bit of a compilation, but mostly a very good friend of mine that I met at our
And what
house.
does Debbie do on stage?
Do
you just talk about Debbie, or do you become Debbie?
I become Debbie, and she's like just angst out about the fact that she's like, over 40 and trying to find a date now, and how the heck do you do that, and all this stuff. And so she's just always talking about, like, look at us, oh my God, we're doomed,
So but that's where you bring in the...
But a lot of that's what you talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, we never expected, like, divorced people have a warning that they're going, they might want to get exercising again, they're going to leave their husband or whatever.
It's so
all of a sudden
true.
it just boom, and we're single, and it was just terrifying beyond belief, and yet at the same time very exciting in a weird way. I mean, there was like a oh my gosh, well, all right, let's go.
But that's so great, because that's where you show the human side of it all.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you grab your audience with that.
Yeah.
And I think you grabbed your audience today. You did really well, Kathy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I really
And
enjoyed it.
Surviving David, I think will go and go and go, and I think you'll be writing a lot of other things too. Well, you've got a lot of material at hand. And thanks for watching this part of the Joan Quinn Profiles. Don't go away, because we'll be back with the interview of Javier Bardem. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We have an in-studio interview with Javier Bardem. You'll see that now. Hello, Javier.
Hello.
My friends are so excited that I'm here. They couldn't believe I was going to be with such a great actor.
With who?
They're all from Europe, so they know you
right.
very, very well. You're not only the biggest star in Spain with so many award-winning movies, and your acting career covers so many diverse roles. It's really unbelievable. Early on, you started in Jamón Jamón, and you were this fabulous heartthrob of everyone in Europe. Why didn't you stay in that vein?
Because time goes by and time passes and everything is start to falling down, baby.
No, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I do think so. Not that I do think, but I do know.
So did you make a few movies like that? As
No.
a sex symbol?
Sex symbol, that's so absurd. I mean, nobody wanted to have sex with me at that time, so I don't know what they mean by sex symbol.
Well, you continued. You did 20 movies after that. And each one had a different kind of character. Do you look for movies that are specifically different?
Yes, well, I'm looking for movies that are worth to make and worth to watch, which is very difficult. And I don't care if the character is different, far different from the one that I did before or not. I just want to be involved in stories, good stories that are worth to make.
Oh, so it's not that you're unrecognizable. You don't try to go for a role where you're going to be unrecognizable.
No, that will be much more about the ego than the acting. About me trying to show the people how chameleonic I am. No, it's not that thing.
So does it depend on the director? Does he bring something to it? Like if a certain director comes to you, are you tempted to work with a director?
I don't really care about who's directing the movie. I just do care about the script, the story, because there are many great directors in the world and millions of good actors and actresses, and there are thousands of millions of bad movies out there. So where is the problem? The problem is that it's in the stories.
To see you today, to see you in Mondays in the Sun, to see you in Dancer Upstairs, I wouldn't have recognized you when I walked into the studio. You played in Before Night Falls, Ronaldo Arenas. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
A Cuban playwright who was a Cuban activist and writer. And when I saw that movie, I couldn't even take a breath. How did you prepare for that?
Well, I was lucky enough to know people that knew Reinaldo, and I worked hard in that sense. And when you are portraying a person who really existed, you have to be very loyal and honest with what you're doing. So, yes, I took a lot of time learning the language, learning his movements, watching the videos, reading his books. But that's something that every actor will do.
But how different was his language from yours?
Very difficult. I mean, very different.
Was it?
Yeah, it's like you're English and Australian. I mean, it's
Oh, so you had to take an accent, a different. And losing weight?
losing weight, which is hard. Yeah.
The other thing is gaining weight for Mondays in the Sun.
Yeah,
How was
that's
that?
easy.
How did you gain so much weight? Because you
Drink beer, drink, and good meat, and good cakes.
What did you gain? 50 pounds?
I don't know in pounds. I don't know in pounds. Like 12 kilos. I don't know, like that's like 25 pounds. No, I don't know.
And you had a
Beard. That was true. My beard is true.
Mondays in the Sun, of course, was one of the biggest hits in Spain. You got a Goya. You got many Goyas. You got a Goya for Best Acting. It seemed like an ensemble cast to me. It didn't seem like here you were Javier Bardem's Mondays in the Sun.
Not at all. I mean, thank God. This is a movie about a group of people that are trying to keep on with that idea that the group, when you belong to a group, you are safe. When you are fighting by yourself, maybe you are weaker. That's the idea of the movie, and all the actors, all the crew, the whole thing work in that direction. So I'm so proud and honored to be part of that. That if the movie would have been in another direction, like me playing a main role or something, that would have been a disaster.
I kept looking at one of the ship workers and saying, "Is that Javier? Is that Javier? Which one's the best looking one? Which one is?" It was very difficult to find which one you were.
Well, yeah. Somebody said that to me, which is a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Yeah.
How much research did you do with the ship workers on the docks?
Well, we did some of that, but at the same time, it's a fiction character, and the script was so well written that I really didn't need to go very far with that, and I just tried to get the essence of some people that I knew and do the character.
So the author, the writer, did a lot of research.
Completely. The author spent like 2 years and a half
Oh.
doing the research.
The one thing, after I saw that, felt so simpatico with those people and with people not having jobs. I was talking to someone in the elevator and she said, "Oh, I put in such a long day." And I had just seen the movie and I went, "You're so lucky you have a job."
Completely. Well, I mean, that's something that we easily forget, that we got jobs.
I know.
And we are paid for that. And we should be very, very, very thankful for that.
And that was your character, that idea. You always had a dream. You kept bringing your fellow workers up. You kept them looking up because you had a dream of doing something else, even though you didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm. Well, my character is the one who tries to put everybody together, because, like I told you before, the sense of a group is important for not surrender, for not be dominated. So my character is the one who leads the group to a place where they have to really face the anguish, the fear, but at the same time be stronger.
Did you actually film down on the docks?
Yeah.
Some?
Yeah.
Did you? How were you received by those people?
Very well. We showed the movie to 3,000 people in Spain, in a huge cinema, 3,000 people. All of them were people that were working in the shipyards. That was really a scary day, a scary moment for us.
Anything that Milton ever...
They really were very, very touched by it, and it was a magical day. So yes, they agree with it.
Did you have anything to do with the music? Because the music was brilliant.
No, the director.
Then tell it. What's the name of the director? I never can say his name right.
Fernando León de Aranoa.
De Aranoa.
Yeah, very well.
He's young.
He's 33.
And had you seen any of his work before?
He has done 2 previous movies. One is called Family, and the other one is called Neighborhood, and are amazing. I
Were
think
you
he's
in?
one of the greatest directors in the world.
Right now at 33?
Yeah.
Were you in any work with him before?
No, but I will love to work with him until the day I die.
Well, how did he feel coming to, you know, an established person? How did he get to you?
It's different in Spain. I mean, we in Spain, we are not stars. We are known actors. So we are normal people that walk on the street and have drinks and talk to each other, and we can make phone calls. And it's not a matter of being blocked in your own building and not having any contact with anybody.
So he just came to you?
Yeah, we were having drinks one day and said, okay, let's work together.
And out of it came Mondays in the Sun.
Yep. Thankfully, gratefully. Thankfully, gratefully.
What do we
Both.
see next for you?
I'm doing a movie in September with Alejandro Amenábar, which made The Others. Maybe you will. It's a powerful story about euthanasia.
And what kind? Euthanasia?
Yeah.
And what kind of character do you play?
I'm playing a person who spent 28 years on the bed. He was tetraplegic. Tetraplegic? You say that? Tetraplegic. Tetraplegic.
Yeah.
Like he cannot move.
Totally.
Yeah.
And do you have to lose weight for that?
I have to lose weight, and I have to gain weight, and I have to do the same thing that I do always. One day I should stop. Yeah.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles, and we'll see you next time. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. Bye.